Hello, everyone. Are you a Californian and maybe you're considering making a move to Colorado? We are here in Colorado and we get a lot of people moving here from all over the country, but one of our number one states where people are moving to Denver from is California. So today we're going to cover what it's like for if you're in California, moving to Denver, why all these Californians are moving to Denver. So stick around. We're going to get to it right now. Okay, so you hear all the time, or at least we hear in Colorado, Colorado is such a desirable place to live, and people are moving here from all over the country, from various places. And one of the number one places where people are moving here from is California. And so why is that? Why do Californians find that Colorado is a great place to live? One is the cost of living, and we're going to dive deeper, much, much deeper into that a little later in the video. So stick around. You're not going to want to miss that. We're going to cover what it's like to move here from San Diego, Los Angeles, as well as San Francisco, and what your money gets you here. But before we do that, I wanted to just kind of go over a general idea of, other things about what's here in Colorado that is bringing in the Californians. I think there's a lot of similarities here in Colorado compared to California. There's a lot of differences, but it's an opportunity for people moving from the West Coast, specifically California, to have still some of the comforts of home, which is California, but be in a new place. So, a lot of people in California, they're touted as one of the healthiest states as far as outdoor activities, eating habits, exercise. And Colorado is also one of those states. So you can move from California, come here to Colorado, and still have that lifestyle and still meet like-minded people that have that same lifestyle with you. We may not have the ocean here, but we have the mountains. So various places in California have those mountains. So a lot of Californians like to ski and snowboard. Obviously, Coloradans do too. So we're right here at the base of the Rocky Mountains. So you can easily do all of that and not have to worry about, giving up that active lifestyle. We have so many parks and recreations areas here. So, maybe why you can't go walk on the beach here in Colorado, there are ample trails and hiking trails that you can get out and be outside in and enjoy our great weather. And, yes, it snows here in the winter, but California's climate is relatively mild. Ours is too, surprisingly. And so without the snow, we have more days of sunshine here in Colorado than any other state in the nation. And so that gives us the opportunity to be outside and enjoy our great weather. You might have to put on an extra coat or an extra layer that you may not have to in California, but in certain parts of California. But definitely we are outdoorsy here. We thrive on being outdoors, eating at patios when the sun's out, hiking, biking, walking our dogs. So that piece of lifestyle can be very similar to what you had in California. So we also the healthy eating piece. We have a lot of healthy eating establishments that are here in Colorado, chain restaurants, mom and pop restaurants, and then also that foodie environment. So coming from, the West Coast where the foods can be very important, it is here too. And we love our dining experiences, and then on top of that is a lot of job opportunities are here in Colorado. California has so many jobs, with Silicon Valley and all of that, but we do have similar jobs to that here. Obviously not on the same scale, but many companies are moving their headquarters here or moving an office here to the Denver metro area. We have a lot of aerospace, tech, Google, Amazon, all of that. So that gives Californians the opportunity to maybe transfer or with their current employer or transfer with a similar industry or the same industry to have that job opportunity. And one of the things that you're really going to like about that between working in California and working in Colorado is the commute. So our traffic here is nothing like rush hour traffic in California. So that is a super plus that we hear a lot of our clients talk about when they're talking about moving here and trying to find a house, that commute time isn't as much. So it's not as much of a consideration when they're trying to figure out what part of the Denver metro the area they want to live in. And, those with that jobs, we're going to go over the cost of living here shortly, and that will explain, kind of what your money gets you. But, you're going to be in a much better position, probably financially, by having a lower cost of living here in Colorado. Let's see what else. So kind of touching base on that overall cost of living, we are typically about 30 to 40% less to live here in Colorado than most places in California. So when you're talking about, all things, obviously property prices are one of those. Our property prices, your money goes a lot further here than it does in California. You can get more square footage, bigger lots, better neighborhoods than what maybe you could get in California for that same dollar amount. $1 million here gets you a much larger updated home than it does in California. And then also with that, our property taxes. So when you buy that home, and then you have to consider about what expenses you have to upkeep and maintain and keep ownership of that home, is your property taxes. Our property taxes here in Colorado, depending on where you are in the Denver metro area, range anywhere from about 0.5% to a full percent. Our newer neighborhoods are going to have the higher property taxes built into that. So, or on top of that. So that is something to consider. But, when you're used to California being so much more expensive, you're going to love the fact of our property taxes here in Colorado. And then also the income tax. So in Colorado, we have a flat income tax, whereas I know in California, it's not. So depending on what you make here, it doesn't matter. It's just a flat income tax rate. So that's going to put more money in your pocket too. So a lot of different things that weigh into that cost of living. Let's jump in and compare some of that here. I'm going to share my screen with you. And so let's start with San Diego. If we look at San Diego, so Denver compared to San Diego. So this is a website that we like to use when we have clients moving in from out of state to kind of help them gauge what it's like to actually live here and the expenses that come into play when living in Colorado. So when we compare this we're looking at what it's like to move from San Diego to Denver. And I'm going to use $100,000 on all these examples just as your annual salary for round numbers and just to make it simple to understand. So if you're making $100,000 in San Diego and you want to move to Denver and you want to keep that same lifestyle, you're only really going to need to make $77,000 here. So you'll see that the cost of living is essentially 23% lower here in Denver than what it is and what you're used to in San Diego. And a big, nice number that's going to save even more is the price of housing. Housing is 39% less here in Denver than it is in San Diego. So, you move out into some of the more expensive suburbs, that margin decreases a little bit, like Boulder is probably going to just be barely less for those housing costs because Boulder is about 35% more than Denver, but then if you move out further east into some of the more rural areas, you may find that the housing, you're going to get more like 50% difference in those housing costs if you move to Brighton or Elizabeth or some of those towns further out on the edges of the Denver metro area. So something to think about, and we can help guide you through that. But again, if you're looking at these overall expenses compared to the nation, you'll see that San Diego's 44% more expensive than the national average. And so, housing is a lot more. So when you take these numbers into play and you're looking at them from a standpoint of moving into Colorado and living in Colorado, your financial picture potentially could look a lot better. So again, your median house price in San Diego is over $1 million. When we look at ours here in Denver, our median house price is, when you look at our price points here in Denver, our median house price is $600,000. So again, you're seeing that's about $400,000 difference. And if you look at, this is for, compared to, in relation to just Denver, our rents are $1,800, our energy bills are $153 roughly. And so you can compare that and really see that, the price points of things here are going to be substantially less. Let's jump to Los Angeles here. So if we're moving from Los Angeles to Denver, again, based on that $100,000 price point. So if we're comparing that to Los Angeles now, you'll see that based on that same $100,000 price point, you're only going to need to make about $73,000. So the numbers between Los Angeles and San Diego are fairly similar. They're really close together. So not a huge difference, but the average cost of living is almost 27% less here than it is in Los Angeles. And the housing is 43.5% less expensive here in Denver. So that gives you a nice idea of what that looks like. Again, in LA, you're paying over $1 million for that average home price, median home price, and ours is, just over 600. Now, when we look at San Francisco, for those of you living up in the Bay Area, this is where it gets really, really interesting. If you are making $100,000 in San Francisco and you want to come to Denver, you're going to need to make about $62,000 to keep that same standard of living. That is a huge savings in your pocket if you think about it. I mean, it's 32% less expensive to live here in Denver than San Francisco, and housing is less than half. Look at this, 56% lower here. So that's getting out there and getting a huge pay raise. When you look at the average price point, median price point in San Francisco, 1.3, that's double what it is here in Colorado. Rent, 4,200, that's more than double. These energy bills and phone bills are, some of the things are very similar, not a whole lot off, a couple cents, but overall, your big savings is going to come into those things we talked about at the beginning, the housing price, the property taxes, as well as the income tax difference there. So that kind of wraps up what it's like to move from California to Colorado. And with that, you're going to have the ability to enjoy all the wonderful things here that we have in Colorado and not give up a lot of the similarities that you are used to in California. And so, yeah, we'd love to have you here. So if you are thinking about making the move, I am Michelle Wise. My partner, Cheryl Crown, is not here today, but we are the Living in Denver, Colorado team with Worth Clark Realty. And we want to answer any questions you have. Give us some feedback, drop a message down below, give us a call, shoot us a text. We are here for you, not only for, if you want to buy a house, but just if you have questions about what it's truly like to live in Denver, we are a great resource and we can help you with that. So until next time, we'll see you then. And we hope you enjoyed this video. Give us a comment. Let us know what you think. We'll see you next time.